So for those who don't know, I'm sure most people are going to be at least a little bit familiar with both these players, but ShoWTimE definitely right now I think has been considered to be probably one of the best players in Europe. He's like in contention I think right now with Nurcio as the best European player right now. HeroMarine though has been pretty freaking decent. He's been doing pretty well for himself as well, taking some pretty big names off of good players, but I think in terms of match history, in terms of like times that they played in the past, of course they're bound to face off against each other a lot. They're both European players. They face each other in tons of different stuff. And you can see right now, ShoWTimE has a serious lead in terms of match score. It's 14 in favor of ShoWTimE versus the 6 wins that HeroMarine has gotten. And that's series score, not game score. So that really does count for quite a bit. The last couple of series that they played, ShoWTimE won 2-1. Before that, HeroMarine did win a series 2-1 against him, but before that, besides that one series in the ESL Pro Series Germany for the Spring Cup, I guess it was like one of the occasional cups that go on, ShoWTimE has won pretty much all the recent series that they played against each other.
I'm trying to find the German flag on Twitter to put in this as being a butt.
Oh god.
Okay, I think I found it. It's not about not knowing what the German flag looks like, by the way, guys. It's just there's about a bajillion flags to scroll through.
I'm like trying to figure out what you're going to use the German flag for, because you're not even the one streaming today.
No, I'm just putting it on the tweet. Like, Germany ShoWTimE versus Germany HeroMarine.
Gotcha. I was wondering, I was like, what are you planning, man? You gonna like turn on your camera and do something cheeky?
Yeah, I'll just randomly turn my camera on. Absolutely.
You're just like holding up a giant German flag, like, go Germany.
Right? I don't know. It's just, it's cool when you actually have 2 players of the same nationality get a face off. But it doesn't actually happen that much in StarCraft. I think Korea versus Korea is the small exception, but for everyone else in the world.
Yeah. You have like a lot of like the neighboring countries and stuff, especially for North America. Like, North Americans facing off versus North Americans, I guess is the closest that you usually get. But even then, it's oftentimes like Canada versus United States or something.
Do me a favor, guys, and retweet if you see it in chat. Turn on the camera. I unfortunately cannot. With my arms being broken, I can't wear shirts like at all, which sucks because I wish I could. And if I do turn the camera on, we'll get in trouble with Twitch. I mean, don't get me wrong, I got no problem showing off my man boobs. That's not an issue here. It's Twitch's problem, not mine.
Might overheat the stream. But okay. Looks like the players are in the lobby. We're just waiting for all the setup, red and blue being set, etc. And then we should be able to hop into it. First map, by the way, is going to be New Gettysburg for this PvT.
Yeah, interesting start for this, but the fact that it's PvT might not have that big of an impact. The only thing you really think of is if like HeroMarine messes up with the air blockers or something, or the War Prism gets messed up on the air blocker.
Yeah. This feels like, honestly, in PvT, a super duper standard map. Like, the island expansions rarely, if ever, come into play. Even the bottom bridge rarely actually even comes into play, besides like early adepts shading on through. For the most part, it usually is everyone moving up along the north side. You have the one thing I will say though is that I'm always really interested where the Terran players grab 4th expansions on this map, or even 3rd expansions, because I've seen a lot of Terran players go for the forward 3rd rather than the northern 3rd, or sorry, 3rd/4th expansion. And that always really interests me because I feel like it's a much harder one to defend, but some Terran players feel differently, I guess.
Well, before we get into the introductions, once again, reminding everybody that the main stream will be covering Euthermal versus Serral over there, so TVZ.
Go check it out if you want to see that, but highly recommend you just dual stream it. Pull up both streams. Learn to multitask. Here we go. Spawn down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. We have the blue Terran player. Give it up for HeroMarine.
And his opponent in the bottom right, going to be none other than the ever-scary Red Protoss, ShoWTimE. Now, maybe adepts are going to be cool in this series. Maybe they won't be. I saw a Reddit thread already that was like, congrats to the winner of Hydra versus Walmu, and it just links to a picture of an adept. It can be problematic for Terran. It certainly can be. But it does feel like there's been this interesting turnaround lately where Protoss, I think for a long time had a maybe small edge. Like this was seriously like a maybe 51% lead versus 49% for Terran for the longest time in Legacy. But something about the last 2 weeks, the last 3 weeks even, we're watching some of the best players in Korea, some of the best players in Europe just fall flat against Protoss. And I've got nothing to say it's in by the way. There's no balance patches. There's been no hidden buffs to carriers or anything like that. Just something about this matchup has really fallen out of favor for Terran. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that maybe they just can't get as much damage done as they used to. Maybe Protoss, generally speaking, have gotten better at defending. But on a big map like New Gettysburg, especially with the option of island bases, all of that normal discussion, that normal play, doesn't get thrown out the window like Dasan Station per se, but it does get changed.
Yeah,
it's not easy for
does.
Terran to run through the middle of that map either. A force field can shut down 100 Marines easily.
All right, well, both these players are going to just be confirming. It looks like ShoWTimE just confirms, like, oh, okay, there's your command center, there's your Marine. Awesome, I don't have to worry about an early Reaper. Both these players are just going to be confirming that nothing super crazy is coming out right now. Which, again, I think it plays into exactly what you were saying. Like, it'll change things, but it only changes things in the sort of mid-game. It's really not going to change a lot in the early game.
Yeah, and I mean, unless you're proxying it, you're probably not going to see a lot of Reaper play anyways. It's too easily shut down. Which is a bummer, because it's not even about, like, the Reaper getting kills or, in lesser cases, scouting. It's just, it is a waste of gas. It slows down your factory. It's the reactor or the tech lab you could have had instead. Like, it's just unfortunate that Reapers aren't really available or viable.
Yeah, it's definitely harder. I think that there are some maps that I still like to see the Reapers on, not just because of, again, like you were saying, like getting the kills and everything, but just in terms of being able to use the Reaper grenades if there are like a lot of adepts moving around, just like getting some kind of extra DPS, or not even just the Reaper grenades, but like being able to put on counter pressure. If the adepts are all the way across the map, you can move in and maybe just put on a little bit of harassment, or force out some push and overcharges. Ooh. 2 Hellions being made early on. Not something that's super uncommon, but definitely a little bit less common to see these days, I think. ShoWTimE does have a pylon over the front. No pylon behind the middle line just yet, so if those Hellions manage to make it all the way back there, can do potentially a little bit of damage. Same story in the main base as well, so at some point, ShoWTimE, just the fact that there is going to be a pretty quick 2-1-1 opening where you have the 2 barracks getting up a fast stem. But once the starport does come out, there is a risk of Liberators coming out. So he does want to make sure he gets those pylons up behind the middle line at some point.
Yeah, Liberators are a very strange spot right now in the matchup. A lot of the times they either get out of hand and they look like Protoss just can't deal with them. There'll never be enough stalkers, there's no Stargate, etc. Or they're just garbage. And even though you've got 2 or 3 of them with that early push, they just can't actually kill anything. While the Marines die out to the Adepts to get baited away from the fight. That classical tale, fighting away from the siege tanks. I don't know how I feel about Liberators, and we'll see if they become a big factor of this matchup or not, but I do like the double racks opening. Not because I hope HeroMarine gets really aggressive and starts doing like crazy drops or even a push, but it's good enough to stop an Adept attack. It's good enough to deal with the War Person, which is Adept coming out. That scan is huge. He sees so many gateways with that scan. Oh my god, Pure Dragon, what a scan.
That was almost like a game-winning scan right there. Because he knows robotic facility is, you know that it's producing a Warp Prism. You know that there's a lot of adepts being made. You know that Twilight Council is chrono boosting out resonating glaives.
I really, 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 really like that scan because it led to a Viking. And a Viking is going to be able to make sure this Warp Prism doesn't get out of hand. There's not going to be Stalkers Warp doing this. It's all going to be Adepts, so that Viking will eventually chip away at the Warp Prism, where Marines sometimes can't actually chase through the Adepts to do so. Now, he's in position a little bit awkwardly. There's nothing in the main. The natural base was covered. But I really don't think this will get that out of hand. Even if there's a big monster warp in just once, it's only going to be just once. He's trying to finish off the missile turret. The SCV gets on top of it. That Warp Prism is going to die, and that's everything for ShoWTimE now. Unfortunately, HeroMarine still doesn't have a lot of Marines. The transfer goes through, but production should hold. And I do believe this will not end the game. We get a lot of SCV kills, but it shouldn't end the game.
Yeah, this game will continue to go on, and it doesn't look like there's going to be well, no, there are reinforcements coming out. There's another Warp Prism that was made. It's derping on the islands.
Just that and the Viking still lived. He should be able to take it out. Let's not forget there's turrets are down now as well, so it doesn't have an easy way to get into the base. I mean, ShoWTimE's dedicated to this. He's got a Dark Shrine coming up behind it. Talk about dedication.
Oh, man.
It's like, okay, maybe I should stay home.
Yeah, he's actually just going to chase this around. If it ever gets too close to the ground without any sort of ground support, it will be causing some problems. But yeah, like you were saying, the Viking going to push it back. The mobile missile turret.
Yeah, it's worth noting for those who don't know, you do actually move faster with a Warp Prism than you do a Viking, so no way to really get caught unless you're not paying attention. But the Adept's going to try and break the wall. The Siege Tank will get a couple of shots. SCV's getting pulled for that repair, but the Adepts decide to back away instead. HeroMarine, do want to point out, on a less worker count, not a great spot. Mules aren't exactly bountiful as there's no third CC, but it is still a situation where he's mining about as much as he needs to. He's still not in a lot of trouble yet. I do think, as much as I have kind of downplayed the Liberator earlier, it could have a huge impact on this game. Because back at home, there's only anti-air. Okay, there's some derping going on.
Yeah.
The only anti-air is the Mothership Core.
Yeah, I think it's just goes to show, like, the tech for ShoWTimE is going to be so delayed. He is getting up finally. Dark Shrine as well as starting on Blink, and the Dark Shrine does finish up. The Warp Prism has the potential to get something done over here as the Adepts are still moving around, trying to get some more damage done, but Widowmine cleans it up.
Yeah, and the tank combo was nice to leave that in the main. Now you can just focus on the other side of the attack, the other side of the map for a small bit. The Viking unfortunately finds nothing. The medevac had derped out really badly, still in the middle of the map, no drop going off.
Ooh.
As he did pull the other one back home. He's come in. There's a scan though.
Yeah, but he picks up one of them. It's two of them. He does save two of them, and he should be able to get out of there. I think 9 SCVs for two of them.
Well, that, and he dropped it to deny the turret, which was really clever as well.
Oh.
But the Marines pierce that Warp Prism. The Liberator should be able to kill it. Well, the DTs might not get cleaned up here. The Warp Prism goes down, and the alleviation of pressure finally here for HeroMarine to breathe. He can start considering getting a third CC. He can go super all in off 2 bases. I mean, either way, he doesn't have to worry about warp-ins for a small amount of time.
Yeah, I think he honestly getting aggressive right now would really be to his benefit. He's got the medevacs out to go for some of those drops. He's got the Liberator out that can also put on some pressure. And really, what is there for ShoWTimE? He's got 4 Stalkers. 4 Stalkers and the Mothership Core with Footgen overcharges. Yeah, there are now some pylons behind the mineral lines and everything, so he should be okay versus Liberators, but even the 3rd expansion not going to be fully protected. I think even just a couple of drops could be really effective.
Yeah, the siege things are actually going to be huge. The Liberator, maybe not so much. There is Blink available after all. But I do want to point out, through all of this, I didn't realize HeroMarine, because he was so busy defending, had kind of put off getting combat shields. That's not done for this push. +1 is not done for this push.
That's going to make it a lot harder, especially since these Adepts are going to be able to do a lot more damage. There's no +1 or anything to research for these Adepts, so they aren't going to be able to just 2-shot the Marines, but, well, we'll have to wait and see. Losing an Immortal already.
Really nice. There's a Widowmine too for that shot. We'll see if it goes off, but the Marines get caught. Unfortunately, loses about half of his Marines. Because Marines are the important thing here. Like, well, the tanks and the Liberator certainly are interesting because they're less in number. They're not more valuable. The Marines are the core part of what HeroMarine has available. These Adepts, shoots on
I think ShoWTimE senses blood right now. He shades on in, no fear. He's gonna be able to clean up all the Marines, or at least force the pickup, killing off the Siege Tank, killing off the Liberator, and
all the Marines. He would have actually just killed those Adepts. That's what's really heartbreaking for that fight. So on the one hand, really great for ShoWTimE on the defense. Really bad for HeroMarine though. Again, timing was just not on his side. Combat Shield's finished up, sure, but +1's not done. A lot of things could have gone different for that engagement.
Yeah, he does at least finish up the 3rd expansion, but losing so much of his army, and he's already behind quite a bit in terms of economy. ShoWTimE is still producing 3 workers at a time, still going to be really just pumping out that economy, and finally getting up his own forge to start up some of his own upgrades. Going to be a bit behind in that regard, but, well.
It's interesting that the resources lost isn't so different, and the armor supply is not so bad, especially when you consider the +1 available for Terran. But it still is no 3rd base, and that's where a lot of this really gets hard to deal with.
There's a big attack coming, and it's going to be coming right after +1 infantry weapons finishes up for HeroMarine. We'll see if it can make some sort of defense happen over here. It's going to be hard.
He wants to play with the bunker. I think it's a great choice. Trying to take advantage of that high ground where he can. Unfortunately, though, with Force Holds, a couple of blinks, this could get nasty. He's trying to move that 3rd over, so he has to take a fight at some point. Scans ahead to see if there are no DTs in the army. Concussive Shell's not done, so no free kills on the units that get hit, but pulls back once again, hoping to set up that Liberator. Hopefully there's 2 Liberators set up.
Well, ShoWTimE is starting to run a little bit lower on Adepts. He's starting to lose some of them in exchange for some of these Stalkers, so.
But the Stalkers are busy fighting the command center. Well, I don't know if they'll get the command center or not. They're not helping with the army fight. The Liberator's now set up. The Marines kill a lot of the Adepts before the fight begins. Marauder's still going strong, but unfortunately he's got to pull back, and then, he abandons the army. The medevac's pulled back. This is like watching Meg's abandon Kerrigan.
Well, I think there's nothing you can do at this point. The Immortal, the Adepts, the Stalker, they're just doing way too much damage. Even if you pulled all of his SCVs right now, it wouldn't be enough. GG.
GG. ShoWTimE will lock down game number 1. Yeah, I thought with the Stalkers having been distracted, HeroMarine would have taken such a better fight around that third, but just a tough, I mean, let's be honest, that was a tough nut to crack, no matter how you looked at it.
Absolutely. I think it really just did come down to the fact that, like, he wasn't, by losing so many of his units, he lost so many Marines, his Sea Shank, the Liberator, etc. in that last push-in, that when it came to trying to defend, like, just straight up, he wasn't going to have enough to defend away from his natural expansion with the bunker and, like, that high ground advantage. So moving out really did end up costing him. But big thank you to Apollon2000. Thank you so much for the completely new sub.
Woo!
All right. Next map it looks like we're getting into is going to be King Sejong Station. How are you feeling about this map?
PvT can be kind of interesting. The back rocks always, I think, on the minds of everybody playing against Terran on this map, no matter what race you are. Hell, even Terran against other Terran. You think about the back rocks on this map. But yeah, we'll see if HeroMarine can take advantage of them or not. Unfortunately, because so much emphasis has gone to those back rocks, we see a lot of players just tear them down very, very early now.
Yeah, especially if you don't have anything else that you're doing with your early units. Although, I think with all of the Adept plays that we've been seeing lately, sometimes not exactly just going to have a bunch of idle units sitting around. Oftentimes those Adepts are just going to move their way straight across the map to try and get some damage done. But so far, ShoWTimE is leading up the series 1-0, which I think is what just history sort of expected. This is what was expected to be happening right now. ShoWTimE, I think a lot of people wouldn't be that surprised if it was a 3-1 or a 3-0 for ShoWTimE. So HeroMarine is the one that's got upset. We're hopping into the next map. We'll see you guys there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in game number 2 as we start up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, atop of the red Protoss player. Give it up for ShoWTimE, sitting up 1-0.
And his opponents in the bottom right, the young German, the blue Protoss, HeroMarine, who, by the way, I forgot, I was going to mention this in game number 1, recently announced that he's done with school and he's looking to go full-time, which is going to be awesome. Because so far, a lot of the players that were already doing pretty well whilst in school became even better once they went full-time. I mean, I to reference Need would be silly because he was good even when he was in school still, and I don't think much changed since then. I think back to like people like Tefl and others who have since fallen out of the game. But the day, I just remember the day Tefl announced he was going full-time, I said, whatever. The next week, he was killing Koreans. So it's like, okay, cool. Full-time makes a big difference for players. And I'm hoping to see stuff out of HeroMarine because he's already really good. And I think ShoWTimE, is this a proxy robo back here he's going for? Is this going to be a Stargate?
I have to ask you, have you seen this location used in Legacy of the Void?
No,
like,
that's the thing. In a HOTS, you would do a proxy robo back here.
Yeah.
That's what I think is really interesting. Like, I hope it's a robo. I think it's a lot more fun and a lot more ridiculous, but it could very well just be a Stargate.
Yeah, I think the robo, it's a little bit harder, right? Because you have to knock down the rocks to move things all the way around. In fact, I think at that point, you might as well just, like, walk the long way, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
He's a War Prism.
He's starting up his Mothership Core before anything else. Usually if you're going for...
Yes!
Whoa. All right. So, okay, do you think he's going to be bringing his Mothership Core with his army? Because normally, if you're going to go for this kind of thing, you tend to skip the the Mothership Core to try and get out your tech as fast as possible.
I think you bring everything with you when you do an attack like this, because if nothing else, the Mothership Core is your ticket out of there with that recall, right? But,
yeah, that's true.
This actually is the question of will there be a Warp Prism with it? I know it's silly and we talked about like a little bit nonchalantly just now, but if it is just Immortals, this is going to be hidden and it's going to be really annoying. And HeroMarine's going to get a nice scout right now with this SCV. But the problem is, this isn't going to tell him what is up. He just tells him something is up. You're like, okay, there's a proxy somewhere. And unfortunately with Protoss, this is what makes it so infuriating. It could very well just as much be a proxy Stargate, a proxy Twilight Council, a proxy Dark Shrine. Like, you actually don't know what it is based off of simply seeing nothing. And in fact, he didn't even get to the back of the base with that SCV to confirm that there would be a proxy anything.
Yeah, he could just think, wait a second, your Nexus is a little bit slower. Did you just go for an earlier gateway or something? Or, you know, did you do something weird?
Is this disruptor drops? Is that what he's gonna do with this?
There's a robo bait going down. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, oh, I love this. This is terrible. This is disgusting. I don't even know if this is gonna work, but I love it because you look at some of the best players in North America right now. Neve and Puck really stand out to me. And versus Terran, they're very well known for the things like their disruptor drops, and that's off of a normal situation. This is something that's not going to be so easily scouted potentially. I do want to see what's queued up, and it is going to be disruptors. Yeah. Excellent. So Warp Prism speed, all these things. Oh, is this going to accidentally find
this
it though?
Medevac. It's moving there. It's moving to that location right now. Are you kidding me?
He hasn't seen it. This is just him trying to sneak around the outskirts of the map. Oh my god! He starts a second pilot.
No.
Oh, no, he hangs the left.
He's safe. He's safe. It's gonna go undetected for now. And here's the thing. I will say, Cyclone coming out, that's gonna be a really, really nice choice to be able to help deal with a disruptor drop. It can at least get some damage done on the Warp Prism.
Maybe. Let's not forget, Cyclones die really easily to pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Other side of the map, the drop does go off. There's no pylon down here, unfortunately. Probes are awkwardly transferring when they realize, like, nope, that's not supposed to happen. But the Adepts come with them. Defending against a minor drop shouldn't be so bad. Widowmine's in a very interesting spot.
Yeah, but he saw it, and okay, gets a decent amount of kills over there. But the ShoWTimE, he juked and jived. As soon as he came near that Widowmine, he saw it, he moved to the right. He knows where to avoid now. Maybe he has to be a bit worried that Widowmine rebros in a new position, but for the most part, he's doing an excellent job so far.
This is like baby rage all over the place right now. That I do want to emphasize that if that Widowmine gets a hit off, it's going to shut down this Warp Prism really hardcore. Missile turrets won't. But a Widowmine, up and 14 go down. That shouldn't have happened. Not like this. Not like this.
Oh my god. He needs to keep those disruptors alive though, because he does not want to die to some kind of counterattack, but the damage has already been done. As long as he keeps those units alive, he could honestly, there's no reason why he would need to right now, but he could go home and be okay with the damage he's done. He's going to continue to try and do as much as he can though.
Okay, well, the stage has been set, and HeroMarine is in a lot of trouble. Down a significant worker count, doesn't really have the means to chase down this Warp Prism. This, unless ShoWTimE is the one who actually makes a mistake here, this is not something that HeroMarine I think can easily recover off of.
You know what I think is so funny about this robotics? You know, normally you have like those proxy locations. You're like, okay, eventually later on in the game, this is gonna get scouted, it's gonna get taken out. I'm gonna have to remake the robo. I don't think he has to remake that robo ever. I don't think it ever gets scouted this game.
I mean, eventually, I think just because of rally paths, you'll maybe want a second one down. But
yeah.
This is insane because, like, let's consider had that drop seen this coming, how different would this game be? By the way, there's the fragility that is this Cyclone right there. That's easy. But yeah, Baby Rage, never lucky coming in chat. That's about HeroMarine's, I think, stance mentally in this game. Man. So the worker count, not crazy. I guess ShoWTimE could have taken a third behind this, but it looks like he's gonna start ramping up and dedicate to a bigger attack. Let's not forget, Blink Stalkers are actually gonna be really hard to fend off. With the Cyclone having gone down without much protection and the still the two disruptors flying around, this army out of ShoWTimE is gonna be just so frustrating to deal with.
Yeah, Siege Tanks are going to be a nice choice, though, from HeroMarine. Not just for the Adepts or the Stalkers, but even for the Disruptors. Being able to lay off a couple of Siege Tank shots on those Disruptors as soon as they drop out of the Warp Prism, so that guaranteed damage from a nice range. We'll see if he can make it work, but the problem over here is with Blink Stalkers, and even just that Warp Prism, you can elevator up the Adepts in the Warp Prism, the Stalkers blink up to the high ground, the Disruptors can move into the main base. He doesn't have to go through this front door.
I just want to point out, like, a lot of people are going to start doing whatever for balance complaints, I'm sure, after watching a game like this, but this was handled really well out of ShoWTimE. Like, this was executed as perfectly as it could have been. HeroMarine had a lot of things that maybe with some other small tweaks to ShoWTimE's luck, like the Widowmine could have gone off, the Viking could have accidentally found the Warp Prism, the Drop could have found the Robo. There's a lot of ways this game could have played out very differently. The Stalk's actually not taking such a great fight here in the main. Warp Prism's in a bad spot. He tried to warp in, realizing it has precious cargo, decides to disengage. A smarter move for certain.
Yeah, losing 6 or 7 Stalkers over there was definitely not that great of a trade over there for ShoWTimE. He does have a third expansion behind this, so this isn't an all-in, but that almost makes me just consider even more, like, why go for that aggressive blink up?
So it kind of was for a time, though. It bordered on like the definition of what you would call an all-in, I guess. But I do want to point out, HeroMarine, he's only just finishing Stim. Combat Shield still hasn't begun. Like, this is still, for him, the longest fight just to get back to normalcy.
Well, killing off whatever Marines he can, wherever he can. These siege tanks are definitely causing a lot of problems. And I guess if those disruptors are able to continue getting any more damage done, it'd be nice. But I don't think that they're going to be able to really come in anymore. There's just like, there's missile turrets up in the natural expansion. The Marines are prepared at every single angle. And yeah, ShoWTimE's just going to back up. He realizes he's done the damage he needs to, in the sense that he denied the third expansion for so long, has committed HeroMarine to the defense.
So behind this, we do have the Templar Archives coming down. I don't imagine this will be for storms necessarily, but I do like the idea of Archons when you're trying to find ways to break those tanks. I think it's a great choice. Nice Liberator setup here out of HeroMarine, starting to get his way back into the game. I mean, that Stalker attack earlier, I don't think was enough to really have thrown the game per se, but it didn't work out for ShoWTimE the way he wanted it to, and that was all of his momentum halted at the very least. These drops come down in, the Disruptors looking for the hits on the SCVs. They transfer back, but oh, just barely timed out well there, as the Disruptors only get 3 SCVs and back away.
Yeah. But still keeps the Disruptors alive, and is of course gonna just leave HeroMarine paranoid. All these Marines, these Marauders, the Marauders for some reason, all sitting around looking for that Warp Prism. Not quite gonna be able to find it, but he gets really close to it. Well controlled by ShoWTimE.
Now we fall into that problem that we had discussed earlier. It's maybe 3 minutes too late, but the back rocks were never taken down. So now these tanks are gonna be able to set up and do some denial on the minerals. This is gonna be really annoying to deal with.
It is gonna be annoying to deal with, but I will say, ShoWTimE does have Blink Stalkers. It does make it a little bit easier to deal with.
That's questionable, though, because you're blinking into a lot of bio, and that's the problem with this.
Yeah.
It's not the tanks that are the emphasis. Again, like, tanks look really distracting, but so much of that's to deal with the Marines. +1's done, but so is +1 armor for ShoWTimE. The Disruptors, though, could get some massive hits on either the tanks or the Marines if handled correctly. He only used 1 shot. He's still got another one in the back pocket.
Oh, some good force fields trapping some of these units. So now suddenly the siege tanks are undefended. The adepts are able to keep the bio forces completely distracted over here as he snipes off 2 of the siege tanks. All the rest of the siege tanks are also going to end up falling. A really good engagement over there for ShoWTimE.
Yeah, this was huge because he was caught so out of position in such a terrible position at that, being King Sejong Station in that one spot. But now he's got the ability to potentially counterattack. I say potentially, though, because the army supply is actually still not in ShoWTimE's favor. But the type of supply might just be. Again, you got Disruptors, you got Archons, you got Sentries, you got all these things to shut down bio. And when HeroMarine had like 6 or 7 siege tanks, that was great. Now he's down to what is literally 1.
Yeah, and I think even the nice thing is that ShoWTimE has been able to get up upgrades during all of this. He's even on upgrades, so it's not exactly like an upgrade lead, but still being able to get the upgrades while also getting up the high-tech army is really going to give him a nice edge.
Yeah, that +1's on deck. We got some Archons merging in behind this.
All right, ShoWTimE.
That bio army is so scared of Disruptor shots, by the way. I just want to really emphasize that. He's not careful, goes badly. War Prism hanging up there in the north, and uh-oh.
Who is it? It's DreamHack! DreamHack!
Oh no, DreamHack!
Okay.
Backup F is the admin. It's all DreamHack.
Well, hold on. I'm actually really curious. Did the main DreamHack stream go down?
That's a good question. I'm wondering, there was an instance about 2 or 3 years ago, if you recall, where DreamHack didn't properly get whitelisted by Blizzard.
Oh, I remember that.
At the same time, they were down for like an hour. I hope to God that's not the case here.
Especially since they've been like so on point with the scheduling. It was like, no, we're not. You know what? We're not gonna force everyone to sit around for an hour or something waiting for the next match. Like, let's hop straight into it. Like, oh, this was set up to be so good.
So the DreamHack mainstream is down for me. But
down.
what I really wish is this didn't lag out while medevacs were healing. Oh my God, this sound is so annoying.
Oh, okay, the game dropped. We have
right.
HeroMarine as the victor right now.
All right, so let's talk about what just happened. Let's talk about what's going to happen. Okay, I said HeroMarine won. Obviously, it's not the case, guys. The concern I have, though, is, and we've experienced this recently, recover game appears to be broken in a lot of instances.
Oh, shoot, I forgot about that.
I had reported this to somebody at Blizzard. I hope maybe it was hotfixed. We don't actually know. But I want to explain how this normally works. For those who don't know, when you recover a game, it puts you in the replay and it fast forwards the replay in ×8 with a big blocker. So nobody can see where positioning of proxy buildings are, for example, or tech or other things. And while that goes on, it fast forwards and puts players in their shoes, so they never get information they shouldn't have. The problem with what's been broken consistently for 2 weeks now is that it doesn't put up that blocker.
But
that's a huge issue with recovering the game.
But here's the thing. This is not a normal online event. In this situation, because it is an offline event, because they can be an admin
just
over
like
there.
walk away from the computer.
Yeah, exactly. Just like force them to leave for a little bit. Like, obviously it's not an ideal situation, but there is a potential solution that you can guarantee players are not going to be able to see all this information they shouldn't have seen before. So I'm hoping they do something like that. But oh man, this is really, really unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm going to try and explain it this way. We're going to go to commercial break, guys, while we get this set up. Don't go anywhere. Everyone's coming back online. Looks like DreamHack's recovered already, so we shouldn't be on long, but we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. We are once again in the resume from replay. We're getting ready. The players have walked away from their computers. They are not there. They are not seeing any of this. So they can't see that there's a proxy or anything. HeroMarine's not going to see any of that. I think Rifkin is still BRB. Hopefully it'll be resolved this time. All right, we're not going to skip too far, I'm hoping. But at least everyone who is tuning in on the later side gets to see the game one more time through the minimap. I feel like this is one of those day 9 dailies where you're just like watching them and it was like, watch the way that armies move around. Watch the way that they reposition themselves. All right, we need to be stopping soon. We need to be stopping soon. We need to stop. We need to stop.
Hey.
Slow down. Slow down. Slow down the game. Oh no.
I'm back, baby.
Oh no. 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 No.
What?
The replay almost.
Hello?
The replay is like about to complete. Oh my god. We got so close to like overshooting it again.
Game paused.
Okay.
Okay.
We're fine. I was so worried that we were just gonna hit the end of the replay again because it was on ×8 speed.
Okay, well, I am excited to see if this works or not. Because the problem now persists, can they correctly place the players in their shoes? For those who don't know, we can't see it right now. Yeah, there we go. Placed in their shoes. Here we are, ready to play. Taking over the game. Pause the game. Oh, I see. Because they have to bring the players back to their PCs still. Okay, so this is, I want to point out 10 seconds before the original disconnect happened. But this accounts for that little bit of lost time. If you guys remember, the difference being that HeroMarine didn't really catch ShoWTimE per se, but he did have an attack. The engagement here was going, but it wasn't a big engagement. I don't think he loses too much from 10 seconds of time, and if he wants to stim forward, he certainly still can. This has been done a little bit janky. Ow! Sorry, one sec.
Bless you. As he was saying, like, it's been done a little bit janky, but it should still be okay. Players are going to have time. Like, obviously, they have the same hotkey setups as they normally would have, so they don't have to set up any of that.
Yeah, and sorry about that, guys. If I, unfortunately, if I put even just a little bit of pressure on my arm, it's incredible pain. So my mistake was leaning on the side of the chair for a moment, but okay, we're back. And it looks like we are into the game. So again, if anyone's just tuning in, it was a little bit awkward getting this going. It is 1-0 for ShoWTimE. HeroMarine fighting for his life, etc., etc.
Ooh, wow. And HeroMarine actually manages to siege immediate control, going for those backdoor rocks, sieges up the Liberties in a nice spot, the siege tank siege up in a nice spot, and it's going to be very important for ShoWTimE to be able to break. ShoWTimE has the better army. Oh, the disruptor shot hits his own army. Oh no. He just killed
I think a lot of that came from him trying to control those adepts back, and he grabbed the shot with them by mistake.
Oh god. No, I think what actually ended up happening was the disruptor he fired off the wrong disruptor. He fired off the back disruptor, which is really far back.
Too. The range was the problem. Yeah. Either way, the adepts were on top of the tanks and ready to transfer, so that not only canceled the transfer, it screwed up his army, and now ShoWTimE in quite the pickle.
Yeah.
Now, let's keep on. He's got third base, fourth base on the way. It's finishing up in just a second's time. Worst comes to worst, he can pull the probes away from this and mine elsewhere. But he wants to be able to break the fight. Army supplies, but even on both sides of this, 1-1 advantage for ShoWTimE when it comes to upgrades. And Disruptor Shot will drive that army back. ShoWTimE holds on to his natural, and this game continues.
And I think that was a really big deal because now it's not just that he holds on to his natural, he still has the worker lead. He, as you mentioned, has that 4th expansion. He has the Templar Archives. He has better upgrades. I think ShoWTimE is just leading up in almost every single way at this point. And he still even has the Warp Prism. So even if he doesn't go for the immediate counterattack, he can go and do continuous harassment on the other side of the map. Where, as you compare HeroMarine, 3rd expansion is just being established right now. But I don't think there's anything holding ShoWTimE back from going for that big counterattack and going for the, I guess, the kill move right now. He's got the Disruptor still alive, or he has 1 Disruptor still alive. Probably wants to get out another Disruptor, as like it looks like that's going to be coming in from that robotic facility next. But even has that Warp Prism moving around to that north side, going to look for a warp-in potential in the main base. He has a Dark Shrine coming up, and you know what? HeroMarine cannot afford to utilize those scans right now. He really cannot afford them.
Yeah, there's a lot riding on this for HeroMarine. Well, we came back to the replay, and there's a lot of momentum going for him. Unfortunately, that momentum has since been lost.
That wasn't even...
Big warp into the main. Huge warp into the main. That's going to cut off reinforcements. HeroMarine has to respond to this. He can't ignore it. This will keep any units from being built going forward. It'll kill tech labs. It'll kill reactors. However, ShoWTimE, having pulled back from this, isn't able to capitalize on HeroMarine being out of position.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, HeroMarine was just set up with so many Liberators at that entrance that he wasn't really able to safely move down. But the Warp Prism's still alive. It's still able to warp in more units, even warps into DT. By the way, I want to note really quickly, as the engagement ends up happening over here, that there is no 3rd command center. HeroMarine has to save all of the energy he can for those scans on DTs because he has 2 orbital commands. That's it. Oh boy. I don't think he can do it anymore. Like, I think it's too much.
Yeah, well, this fight does the best that it can. I mean, for HeroMarine, pushing this back would be great. He can't. He's losing out in the main. I just want to point out, like, straight up dying in the main. What's the building skill? It's Shift K. Okay, so he didn't lose the command center. It's all been add-ons so far. He just transferred the command center over to the 3rd, I guess. But I was gonna say, even if he pushes this back, he'll be left with such a small army that he won't actually be able to go kill anything important. This is so bad, and the DTs make it worse.
Yeah, it's like losing your army to the point where you can't really kill anything important and not even being able to reproduce his army because his production is going down. That's where you know a Terran player is in a lot of trouble. Immortal is able to take out some of those sea chinks, and even though ShoWTimE's not necessarily engaging to the best angles, it doesn't matter. GG is called. ShoWTimE takes a 2-0 lead in the series after a long series of events. We'll leave it at the word events.
I also got to give a shout out to both Revenge Toaster, awesome guy here on the channel, but also Element Finney. He's a caster for the Gauntlet, both posting some of the more awesome highlights from that game on Reddit. They rage all over the place, and not like this epic disruptor hit. Yeah, that's yep, pretty much exactly what happened in this exact same clips. But all right, so now we don't have to worry about awkwardness going forward. Now it's just simply brand new game. No recovery, dancing, monkeying around. We get to just simply see what a brand new game's gonna look like. And fingers are crossed, nothing goes wrong.
Don't jinx it. Yeah, just next time the power goes out, not just the internet. Well, still, but like all of the downtime and everything aside, like obviously that's gonna be a little bit frustrating for both of the players. But HeroMarine, especially now, sitting down 0-2, he's had all of these things that he's had to deal with. And granted, ShoWTimE's had to deal with like the downtime as well. He's the one that's just kind of like, it's that slow feeling of like, I'm slowly dying. I'm slowly being killed off.
Yeah. We had a donation come in earlier. I'm terribly sorry for missing it. Worf PL sent us $5, and he says, "You do not know how good it is to hear your voice. I'm glad you feel well enough to comment." Yeah, thank you, man. Sorry we missed that earlier. Again, drama at that game, etc. I'm still not really back at full strength yet, but I didn't want to leave Fear Dragon solo for what is possibly a 12-hour cast, even though I know he's got the stamina to do it. because he's done some crazy casting lately. Plus, I'm not gonna lie, a little bit stir crazy bored, so very happy to be back casting what I can, but it is very uncomfortable sitting here. I have, for those who don't know, my regiment, I guess, for the last 2 weeks has literally be, if you can imagine like how they barrow pharaohs with their arms crossed above their chest, it's been like that lying down. I'm not allowed to move. And because, for those who don't know even further, like if you break your elbow or your collarbone, these are not things they can put a cast on. So you have to just literally not move on your own, which sucks. Anytime you feel an itch on your nose, anytime you want to scratch the back of your head, nope.
Well, I guess
so this is a much needed break from recovery, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And of course, if Rifkin misses anything in the commentary, you can also blame me, because I'm guessing he's gonna keep his viewpoint mostly on my camera.
Yes.
So
yes, I've did you not get into this game?
I did.
Oh, you're at the very bottom. I was like looking for your name on the list. There's so many observers in this game. There's a scroll down menu created. I've never seen that.
Really? Hold on, I actually want to see that.
Yeah, control. Oh, look, there's like a little scroll down.
Yeah, that's impressive.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're hopping into game number 3. This could potentially be the last game. He's down 2 points. He's on his last life. It is going to be the young German, the blue Terran, HeroMarine.
And his opponent up here in the top right-hand corner has got to be feeling good despite all of the delays and downtime. He's sitting up 2-0. Will he make it a 3-0? Give it up for ShoWTimE, who I think is still widely considered one of the best players in Europe, and you're starting to see like a little bit of the reason for that.
I mean, okay, you look at the way ShoWTimE plays in this series, and that's one thing, but you got to keep in mind, we've had the privilege of casting ShoWTimE many times through many different events. And I think what I really like about him is he doesn't waver in terms of like, there's a lot of players out there that are good. You take Neep, for example, but you can tell when a loss affects him. ShoWTimE is either just like, he just comes in like a boss no matter what. He could have the worst. His girlfriend could have broken up with him. His dog could have died, and he could have gotten fired all at the same time, and he'd still come play StarCraft like a boss. Like, that is ShoWTimE, and I think that is, truth be told, one of his greatest strengths.
And I think a lot of that, like, the word I would pin that down on is experience, like, especially when you bring up someone like Neeb, right? Neeb is definitely one of those younger players, and yeah, he's been in the scene for a while. He used to play Terran. You can go all the way back, but for the most part, he is only just recently getting that exposure to playing on the big stages, playing in these big events, having that pressure. And ShoWTimE is one of those players that has been around and has also experienced that for a while now. So he is ready for whatever gets thrown at him. And we'll see if HeroMarine is ready for whatever ShoWTimE is about to throw at him. Is he going to go for a similar type of proxy again? Ooh. This is a pretty early probe to be hiding in the corner. Cybernetics Core is going to be finishing up relatively shortly. We'll see if the pylon goes down. He is also getting out. This is something I want to note. This is something that's really weird to do in the matchup these days. He gets out the early Zealot. And I wonder if that's because he ends up with the Cybernetics Core finishing up. He goes for the Motion Core. No, he still goes for the Adept. He doesn't delay any.
I think everything to do with the fact that this is a map where A, Reapers are viable, but B, proxy Reapers are more so.
Yeah.
And if you're down 2 points and you're worried about someone cheesing you, that Zealot, like the way he's patrolling it specifically, is not to catch and kill necessarily a Reaper, but it's to fight with it, have it be distracted with the Zealot instead of killing probes, instead of getting to the mineral line, instead of being annoying. Because keep in mind, if this was a proxy Reaper, it's a normal Reaper, but if this was a proxy Reaper, that's about 4 probe kills guaranteed. The cost of a Zealot is the same as 2 probe kills. So it's way more cost efficient to have it dick around with the Zealot instead of mess around in that mineral line.
Yeah, absolutely. Probe is planting down a proxy pylon, although I'm not really sure if this is going to be for anything super aggressive. There is just one Robo Twilight Council coming down.
Yeah, it may just actually be for a warp in location. We'll find out shortly. Actually, what happened to that Reaper? It's still alive. There we go. Got some decent vision. Hopped all the way to the back and saw the gas, saw the Twilight Council, and saw the Robo. So got a full scout on everything it needed to. But in the top left, we do have a Dark Shrine coming down. So he is hiding one of his buildings.
Yeah, this could be really nice. Dark Templar drops, especially, I know has been very, very popular in the Korean scene. A lot of Koreans have seen a lot of success with them. And especially when you have a sort of style that HeroMarine is going for, where he did delay that second barracks. He didn't go for like the super fast 2 barracks play, going to a quick stim or anything. It does also allow the potential, although I will admit, less common these days, but you can snipe off stim if your opponent is not prepared. Oh, Reaper's gonna get picked off by the Adept. Nice corning over there. Unfortunately, as much as a Reaper would like to, it cannot jump over rocks. But no. Here comes in the drop.
The overcharge was good too. There's no actual huge threat to this drop, but it does push it back temporarily. Probe's gonna probably have to be pulled away from this. It's about to run out of juice, and unfortunately, the Mothership Core's only got one more in her.
Yeah.
And ShoWTimE might not even want to burn it here. He might want to actually just use gateway units to stop this.
But he's only got one warp gate, and that's the big problem right now.
This attack comes without a Widow Mine, and you always assume this attack comes with a Widow Mine. So part of him being so late to respond to it, I think has everything to do with that observer that just slowly crept forward, expecting to find a Widow Mine.
You know what's really impressive, or like it's really problematic for ShoWTimE right now about this drop, is the fact that he actually forced warpins at home. ShoWTimE did not want to do those warpins. He had the warp prism on the other side of the map. The Dark Shrine finished up during that attack, and instead, oh, he's busy trying to split up his probes, losing oh my god, losing 9 of them already. And where's the warp prism? Did the warp prism go down? Oh my god, the warp prism died. He dropped off a DT and it got picked off.
I'm guessing the Cyclone or the turret or something was just a little bit too much for me. Paying attention, not for just a second, but either way, the DTs being stalled out is huge, but knowing there's DTs and having dealt with them so efficiently, even better. Let's point out that HeroMarine did have turrets down, so no real need for burning 5 or 10 scans to deal with that. Now, let's talk about where this actually puts the game, though, right? Like, we have a third base on the way for ShoWTimE. HeroMarine building third CC and base. No one's really super all-in off of this. This is something that could have gone that direction for either side, depending on how the damage was from that attack. But the Warp Prism being shut down means ShoWTimE stops his aggression. Also means HeroMarine doesn't have to all-in to respond to taking too much damage.
Yeah, HeroMarine just continuing to put on whatever pressure he can, and gets very close to losing that medevac. Oh, Stalkers! No, not quite gonna be able to get it without the high ground vision, but yeah, as you were saying, like both these players are gonna be transitioning out. What do you think about this third location for ShoWTimE, though? I haven't really seen this too often.
Yeah, usually they take that more safe base up north, but if you think about it, with the way Terran will be dropping you and coming from different angles, I think defending a lot in a linear pattern is going to be easier than I guess you want to call it the triangle expansion style.
Yeah.
Because let's not forget, it's pretty easy for ShoWTimE to go from like high ground at that natural to defending that third, opposed to having to go from the main to the third. It's actually a lot more distance he has to run if it was the other third base. So
yeah,
this is something where you're right. Like, we don't conventionally see people take it, but I can certainly see the merits to it. While this goes on, though, the question is, where's HeroMarine's probably going to take his third at the natural, or the normal, I'll say, location you would expect it to.
Yeah. Looks like a scan goes down over there. I think HeroMarine is just sitting around with that Liberator, waiting for the opportune moment to move in and pounce on some probes when the army's not going to be around. But at the same time, he's also moving out with his main army. And this is going to be a move out to secure his third expansion. He knows that he's going to be safe because he knows that his opponent needs to leave his army at home to defend. But, well, ShoWTimE's also splitting up his army. This ramp could be a really dangerous spot to move down, especially with the sentries there. Force shields could really end this game quickly.
Could also be really well guarded by said ramp and high ground. So he doesn't over-dedicate. He's got cover from the tanks. As we can see, those reach out really far, and the Marines actually can get free firing on the Nexus thanks to that tank support.
Oh man, Liberator goes to the natural expansion. He's gonna be able to siege up and do some damage over there. Siege tanks wailing away on the high ground, but 2 Adepts get on top of them. Stalker's also blink forward. He is gonna be able to clean up this army of HeroMarine. And the Liberator is getting a couple of kills, up to 4 or 5 kills right now. But not an
This is an awkward spot with the pylons being where they are, though they don't actually reach, so Stalkers will have to be warped in at this point. Yeah. Now, I do want to point out, while he killed the tanks, HeroMarine also killed 1 or 2 of the Immortals as well. So as this counterattack goes off for ShoWTimE, he actually doesn't have that much power with it.
Yeah, although there aren't any more siege tanks out anymore, so it's going to be a little harder to defend. Cyclone, ooh, nice pickup over there, saving that. Going to be able to potentially get a lock on later on, and even potentially repair that up, but for now, I will say, both these players still sitting on pretty decent economies, but it's HeroMarine that's leading up the worker count, something that you don't generally tend to see in a PvT. Big stim forward, and it looks like HeroMarine is going to be able to chase this army back. GG gets called, and HeroMarine is able to take his first game of the series.
Yeah, not going to go down 3-0. He's still in a tough spot, though. No matter what this next map is, it's still his last life. So he's got to be very cautious with how he approaches playing somebody like ShoWTimE. A game, I mean, like, even though it wasn't good, we'll say, because it didn't get a lot done, the Warp Prism and that Dark Shrine, still cheeky tactics, sneaky tactics. Hard to predict that sort of thing. You can't just call it.
All right. Well, the
like
next
once in a while, you'll get a map that is like conducive to, say, Blink, and you can blind guess Blink or something, like what we just saw, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have to a really short break while we get the next series set up. So we'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, here we are in game number 4 as we spawn in the bottom right-hand corner of the map on top of the blue Terran player. Finally put his name on the scoreboard in that last game. Can he do it again? Give it up for HeroMarine.
And his opponent in the upper left, spawning red, playing Protoss. It's going to be none other than the ever-cheeky ShoWTimE. Now, maybe this is something where all of those proxies were just simply due to the maps. Like, he's got builds set up for Frozen Temple completely independent of everything he's done so far, but I mean, with how good they worked out in 2 games, and okay, a little bit wonky in that last one, I wouldn't put it past them to try some variety of proxy again. I mean, 2 for 1 still very much favors the 2 proxies.
Yeah, I think that this map also has some pretty nice proxy locations in the far corners of the map. And you know what the funny thing is also? At no point in any of those games where the proxies have been going down has HeroMarine ever scouted them. Not even like the, 5-10 minutes later after they're no longer relevant, like, oh, okay, finally found the Dark Shrine, or finally found the robot. Like, HeroMarine never saw them, ever. So, we'll see. Okay, we do have pretty much standard builds coming out for both these players. I will say this is definitely one of the nicer maps for Reapers to maneuver around. You have a lot easier of a time getting up to the main base. It's the reason why some matchups 3 racks Reaper, 2 racks Reaper are much more common, but we're not seeing any Reapers coming out from HeroMarine. He's going to be completely foregoing it, just getting out the reactor and the Marine, getting out his command center, and getting up a fast factory.
Yeah, as far as everything that you do in the matchup, I mean, I want to point out, while they haven't been super effective, I do like that HeroMarine still reached out for some of the Cyclones in a lot of these games, playing it about as safe as you can. The double racks opener I was a pretty big fan of, just unfortunately that didn't work out for him in that one game. I actually would have loved to have seen him go back to that on a map like Frozen Temple. Some of you may also know there's a player, his play on the mainstream right now, HeroThermal, has some very specifically dirty versus Protoss builds and pushes he does on this map. Things that I'm sure HeroMarine could execute if he wanted, but the fact that he's going for Widowmine says that he won't be, unfortunately.
Yeah. Are you talking about the 1-base all-ins, the 1-1-1 siege tank?
It's like 1-1-1-1-1, because it's like a little bit of everything. It's got a Cyclone, it's got a Liberator, it's got a siege tank, it's got a bunker, it's got everything.
Oh god, yeah, it's a pretty scary and dirty build that a lot of pro players have to be on the lookout for these days, because it's not just HeroThermal using it anymore. But looks like we do have a 1-gate Robo with Twilight Council coming out right now, so ShoWTimE looking to play this out a little bit more standard. I will say this is definitely one of the maps that most Protoss players tend to take fairly quick third expansions on. They tend to play more macro-oriented games on. But we do have a pretty quick Widowmine being made, as well as the Medevac coming out, so it seems like it's going to be yet another Widowmine drop for HeroMarine. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He went for the earlier drops last game. Widowmines are able to get some pretty significant amount of damage done early on.
One of the big merits to Widowmine drop build, I think, is not the actual damage it can do, which can sometimes be great, but a lot of it has to do with the timing. So it scouts and it actually burns a scan, which in most normal cases I would call a bit of a waste this early. But you are playing against ShoWTimE, who has 3 for 3 games done something where he doesn't put an important building within his own base. So that scan, unfortunately, does not reveal the most crucial information of the Twilight Council and the 2 extra gateways on the right side. It did see a Robo, however, which is a pretty important scout. So I was going to let him know these Widowmines are limited on the damage they can do.
Yeah, still going to try and get something done over here, and Widowmines are not going to be able to burrow quite in time. Oh,
it was locked on. Almost.
Yeah, almost locked on the right probes, but looks like the other Widowmine in the main base also gets forced back. Was that an empty medevac?
Yeah, he was just going for a scout. That's what I was talking about. Like when you do any variation of Widowmine drops. The timing is the medevac's supposed to be able to scout. So he does see the Twilight Council, and he saw the extra 2 gateways. Lets him know to put down some turrets to be safe, but this is not necessarily turrets because you're worried about DTs so much as it's with that Warp Prism just hanging around your mineral lines for too long. So those will push back pretty easily.
Yeah. Behind this, HeroMarine is finally getting up stim, and will eventually be getting out of combat shields, but yeah, nothing super duper early on. Now ShoWTimE, having cleaned up the Widowmine drop, feels confident moving out across the map. This is definitely one of the maps where blink harassment can be pretty nice, but you have to be very, very cautious, especially since this is not a big all-in or a huge attack from ShoWTimE. He pounces on some Marines. He's gonna be able to take them out. He loses a Stalker, doesn't want to lose a second one over here, and with some nice Warp Prism micro, he's gonna be able to keep most of them alive. HeroMarine could be in a lot of trouble over here. Having lost so many of those Marines, he loses the Liberator. Wait a second, this is starting to become a huge problem right now. There aren't that many Warp Gates out, but
I don't know if it's a huge problem just yet. You got to keep in mind, as long as these SCVs are here to repair the bunker, this won't break in. It's going to suck losing a depot, and it's going to suck more so losing a depot that has supply dropped on it. It looks like he will be able to snipe that. But the bunker shouldn't give away positioning just yet. In fact, he baits a couple of those units a little bit closer, as we see, so some shots get fired. The Adept not going to be able to scout the main, not for free at least. Tank comes out. This should start stabilizing now. The pressure, annoying, but again, the strength of what a bunker can do with SCVs on it. If the SCVs were mining and not pre-pulled, this would have been that problem you were describing. But HeroMarine handled this pretty perfectly.
Yeah, my fear was definitely just the fact that I think having the SCVs pulled already, where his third expansion is like finishing up, he's getting his orbital and everything, but the third expansion for ShoWTimE is already like fully saturated. At some point, he's going to be throwing down the gas geysers. I feel like ShoWTimE's just getting a really big lead economically in this game, and even having the SCVs pulled for a little bit just puts him even further behind. Alright, well, ShoWTimE is going to be going for that Dark Shrine once again, although he's not proxying it this time. He is warping in an Adept, getting ready to move into the main base most likely, while he continues pressure with these Stalkers. Got to keep them alive, though. Doesn't want to be losing any of them. Nice little micro and focus firing down one of the Marauders over there. But it's going to probably trade out for 2 Stalkers.
Yeah, not bad. Not amazing, but not bad.
But the main thing is that he pulls the army over to that front ramp, and that gives the Warp Prism with the Adepts inside opportunity to move into that main base.
Yeah, but this with those turrets are really going to be really nice, as we can see exactly where he wanted to warp in initially. Unfortunately, was driven back, but the Adepts still managed to get in. SCV's pulling away. Medevac's coming back, but they don't have anything inside of them. It's all about the Marines and the Marauders trying to get on top of this. Cut off at the natural bases where more of the reinforcements are, and the SCVs will go back to mining. 6 workers go down for this attack.
ShoWTimE, okay, looks like HeroMarine still reacts appropriately. I was going to say, ShoWTimE does something nice where he doesn't shade every single one of the Adepts away from the main base. So he was trying to catch the SCVs as they transferred back from the natural expansion to the main base again. But looks like HeroMarine is on top of it. 7 workers killed, definitely not too shabby.
It's about the 4th, though, I think, more than the worker kills. Like, okay, he gets a couple of worker kills, which was nice, and that could have been more. But I really like that he reached out for a 4th behind this to extend his lead instead of try and get ahead through simply worker kills. It's like burning both ends of the candle.
Absolutely. Dark Templar coming into the 3rd expansion. No, it doesn't go after the SCV.
Wait. It doesn't actually get the kill. So, yeah, there's detection. Yeah. Okay, that was a little bit awkward.
It was because the SCV went into the mineral patch itself. So he couldn't target all of a sudden. He had to go after the missile turret instead.
Interesting. Well, while this goes on, we got to talk about upgrades. I think it's a pretty big factor. We're sitting on 1-1 still for HeroMarine. ShoWTimE's already on his way to 2-1. And well, that's not as big of a deal as it used to be, because once upon a time, like back in HOTS, just Zealots with 3-3 would beat everything a Terran player could throw at them. With Liberators and Widowmines, and now, whoa. Ghost, I didn't even see the Ghost Academy come down. When did the Ghost Academy come into play?
Yeah, this is super early Ghost Academy.
So EMPs are going to be huge for a lot of different reasons, but most importantly, because this is such a gateway-heavy army. Forget the fact that there could be Archons. Forget the fact that there's Templar Archives and all that. Ghosts getting EMPs on the Adepts alone means they're going to go down very quickly. Back before Adepts were fixed and, had that 1 damage tweak and they were broken as freaking all hell, that EMP was the only way to deal with them. And now it still is a really great solution to such a difficult set of units to fight. Storm's on the way, which makes the Ghost even more viable as time goes on. But again, just initially for these couple of EMPs, Ghosts are going to be great.
And they're coming out at the exact perfect time because the push out from ShoWTimE is coming right now. He's going to have the ghosts available for those EMPs. Will he be able to land them, though?
The Liberators are going to be huge, too. There's not that many Stalkers. If they don't focus these down quick enough, they will be quickly chewed away at. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of Stalkers, but just not enough to the amount of Liberators there are with a bio support underneath it.
Yeah.
Good chat question coming in. Does EMP disable the Immortal Barriers? And the answer is no. It's not like the old Hardened Shield. Barrier is a completely separate ability.
Here we go. Liberators sieging on up, and the Adepts are going to shade on in. And I think this is important, as you were saying.
I don't think he knows about the Ghosts. If those Adepts go through, clumped up like that, that's begging for an EMP. Liberator's going to start inching forward, and unfortunately, ShoWTimE has had his army split in two now. HeroMarine could focus on one side of it. The Liberators could cover his back from the other. But as the Adepts come in for that transfer, once again, EMPs go off already. Adepts have no shields coming into the transfer. They're all dead before they even get a chance to fight. And HeroMarine's army is just dominating.
Oh my god.
What an ace match.
HeroMarine ties it up 2-2. Keeps his hopes of DreamHack Montreal alive.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
This
all
is...
right, well... This is, I didn't expect this, with the way this series started off, with the 2-0 that this began with, I didn't think that this would go the way it has been. But now it's really cool, and now it's really interesting, because this could go either way for this final game.
It really could, and this, I mean, the format for the Summer Circuit Championship is savage, is brutal, because it is single elimination, and these two players are both players that you would expect to see like in the round of 16, round of 8 maybe at least, and I mean especially for ShoWTimE and HeroMarine, possibly even like the semifinals, but they have to face each other in the round of 32. They have to determine who is going to be moving on and who won't, and this single game on Frost is going to be deciding that ultimate decision. Who is going to move on to face off versus... I imagine, actually don't even have the bracket pulled up. I just have like all the matches pulled up, but
this is a really interesting map for this to finish on too, by the way. On one hand, you got the aspect of like ShoWTimE, who's been doing all these crazy proxies. You've also got ShoWTimE, who's definitely able to try and abuse Blink on an older map like Frost. There's a lot of ways for Protoss I can see taking advantage of this map. On the other hand, though, if HeroMarine can just play really solid like he has for these past 2 games in a row, his form looking as good as it has, his control being on point, and most importantly, not over-dedicating in any of these terrible engagements, I think it won't matter what ShoWTimE throws at him. Unless ShoWTimE plays a straight-up game against HeroMarine and HeroMarine can play really solid, I don't think this is going to be something where cheekiness will prevail.
Well, we'll have to find out. Frost is definitely one of the big maps, and I've got to say, like, big maps do make it a little bit easier to go for cheekiness and proxies. We'll see if that ends up happening, though. For now, I guess we're still just waiting around for players to join the game and everything. But, of course, if you do want to catch the other series that's also happening on the DreamHack main stage, I believe it's Euthermal facing off versus... Who was it? Serral. Euthermal versus Serral is happening over there in a TVZ.
Yeah,
So,
I wonder if that's actually concluded by now. I know ours went a little bit weirder than expected. I'm wondering if theirs is even still going on or not.
I think it's still going on because Liquipedia still shows their series as 1-1, and usually Liquipedia is relatively up to date. But
okay, because I was gonna say Euthermal's certainly capable of long games. So is Serral. So,
but like, yeah, I feel like especially since it was like both of the series, both of the two of like I guess the 2 series that were going on had to experience the delays and everything. So I can kind of understand why it's like they would still just be in like game 3 or 4.
Well, we are just waiting on, I believe, ShoWTimE to join us. May need a moment here to think about his tactics and regain his thoughts.
Yeah, and you were talking about some of that, like, you know, the cheekiness potential for ShoWTimE, but one thing that you mentioned that last game was just the ability for HeroMarine to go for, like, that 2-Rex pressure. You know, oh, the 2-Rex opening, get up a fast stim, fast combat shields, and really lay on the pressure very early on. Do you still feel like that would be something that you'd want to see on a map like Frost, or that was really more of a Frozen Temple thing?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, if this was another set of players, I think it could give you a more definitive and less dodgy answer. But, I mean, with A, like the way ShoWTimE's been playing, and B, the way HeroMarine has gone from reacting poorly to reacting greatly, I couldn't give you an answer to that, man. Like, this is gonna be a game left entirely to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, just a reminder, the winner of this is going to go on to face off versus the winner of Cham versus Marine Lord, which, you know what? I'm not going to lie. Most
Cham
people
has a
out
chance there.
huh? Yeah, most people are going to like look at that and be like, well, you know, Cham is like a random Mexican dude. Yeah, he got lucky with like a round of 8 finish, but Marine Lord's going to win there, right? And I'm like, well, I don't know. The thing is about Cham that I think most people aren't super familiar with, unless you really have like seen a lot of his games, is he is really, really good at 1, aggression, and 2, he's pretty good at the mind games. He's pretty good at just controlling the pace of a series, throwing out different builds and abusing his opponent.
So we got to cast him a lot in Copa America, and he did not stand out to me at all. Like, so it is really these last 3 to 5 months that Cham has something changed. I don't know his practice regimen, his mindset, but he has only recently become that better player, because for a long time he was just another Zerg. Like, really would roll my eyes at him. But the fact that I've seen him actually take on big people going toe to toe with folks like Polt and others, I mean, Cham is he's an underdog on that bracket, but he's one to look out for.
Absolutely. I think that's going to be a really exciting series, and I believe that will be covered by us after this series. So we'll find out who the winner of this series is going to be facing later on. But for now, we're hopping to the ace match. We'll see you guys in just a little bit on Frost. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Ace match, game number 5. Winner moves on. Loser has to sit around and wait to go home. Spawn down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the red Protoss player from Team Millennium. Give it up for ShoWTimE.
And in the bottom left, he's managed to climb back from an 0-2 start. It is going to be the blue Terran player, HeroMarine. But okay, so HeroMarine on this map could do a lot of different things, but ShoWTimE, I want to point out, sends out a really early probe to scout. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that he's looking to try and find HeroMarine, go for a one-base build or a proxy or anything like that, or even just know where his opponent is. He might scout the top left next, see HeroMarine's not there, and very well put down a pylon and start building something in that corner of the map. I mean, his tactics for this final game might not change too much from the other 3 or 4 that we've seen so far.
Yeah, despite getting the last scout out, this might actually work out pretty well in terms of timing for doing this. But here's the sort of funny thing. HeroMarine also has not scouted at all. And if he did something like that, if he did throw down some kind of cheeky pylon immediately, there's a good chance that the Reaper might actually have scouted that out, just because that's where the Reaper was going to be going first to scout. So it's, I guess, good that ShoWTimE didn't end up doing anything like that.
You know, what's funny too is, like, you think about the way the proxies have gone in the series, and they have actually become more and more reserved as each game goes on. Like game 1, starting with the proxy robo on the side of the map type thing, coming all the way back to last game where he actually just put it in the corner of his own base.
Yeah.
It's slowly becoming more and more reserved. So we may see nothing even at all this game. I don't know, but I think safe openers, you know, with the Warp Prism and Adepts are never a bad idea. I like the early robo because you want that detection. Wouldn't mind drops, just again, so common when it comes to this matchup, mostly for scouting, but also for potential damage. Command
Center is going to be finishing up pretty soon, but most importantly, the starport's going to be on the way, and it looks like a Widowmine is going to be made right now. So Widowmine drops most likely going to be coming out once again. It's something that Rokin was talking about in that last game. It's nice, obviously, for some of the damage and everything, and just forcing a reaction out of your opponent, but it's also, most importantly, just about getting some scouting information out. Not just on the buildings that you end up seeing with the medevac, but also just what units are being made. Are there stalkers or is it adepts? Because there are some nice stalker attacks, but you tend to see that kind of stuff very early on in terms of the unit compositions your opponent goes for. Well, Adept moves in, not really able to see a whole lot so far, but couple gateways going down. Looks like nothing super crazy. Reaper comes in and should be able to scout out more or less everything over here.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing, though, is while we've had some really exciting games leading up to this one, I guess the irony is, like, a normal opening suddenly seems really boring in comparison.
Yeah, but sort of interesting that Twilight Council's finally starting the research blink. I was gonna say it was sitting idle for a while. I was wondering what he was planning to do with it, but It looks like it is finally starting up. Observer does try to go over to his opponent's side of the map, but doesn't quite catch the medevac that's making its way over, not to the natural, not to the main base, but over to the third expansion location. And you might even be able to get a cancel off over here. That's a pretty annoying. ShoWTimE having that canceled. Going to at least be able to get out enough stalkers to deal with this now. But yeah, it is going to be a stalker warp, and I think that in and of itself will also be a bit of a reveal for HeroMarine. You'll see, okay, like, yeah, there was a third expansion going behind this, but also I don't have to worry about a big adept attack or, you know, Warp Prism chrono boosting out a bunch of resonating glaive adepts. Wow.
Well, this is going to be an annoying base to defend later, for sure.
Yeah.
To have taken like this.
This is really surprising to me, especially like since so many Terran players these days going for the siege tank openings and getting out just a few of them to help defend. Siege tanks on the high ground over here, this is going to be such a ridiculously hard position to break.
Well, the pylon's going to hold initially. Marine's getting shot to death. Unfortunately, didn't really get out of range of that in time. So the stock is focusing the medevac. That's going to get driven off. The Marine's going to get cleaned up. This drop doesn't get much more than a couple of probes, sadly. One of mine sets up over here and will deny mining, but the observer sees it and will be able to deal with it.
Yeah. Nice thing though is at least HeroMarine, despite not really getting a whole lot of damage done just yet, he keeps the medevac alive, which I think is a really, really important part of this. Still has an eye over on that fourth expansion location. I guess originally what was the third, but one of mine's move into the main base, not going to be able to get anything done. Stalkers with Blink a little bit too strong. Oh, he might get the medevac though. Nicely done. But a lot of production kicking off over here for HeroMarine. No sign of a third expansion. It really does seem like HeroMarine wants to just put on the aggression rather than go into his own third expansion. And especially I think I can agree with that sort of decision with this expansion location for ShoWTimE. Well, for now, I'm getting up the... I just utilizing that bunker for now, but I feel like ShoWTimE has to be very, very cautious over here. He's really got to keep that Warp Prism alive. It has so much value in this game, just because if your opponent is trying to be aggressive, being able to put on counter aggression forces them to commit units to the defense. It can get really, really awkward for a Terran player. But Liberator comes in over here, sieges up the third. There's nothing there. There's no workers there.
But you know, make sure there's nothing there either.
Yeah.
Stock is coming in to deal with that. If this was this would have been a great distraction if there's an attack coming from the north side. Sadly, not going to be the case. And this is where I start worrying for HeroMarine. It's a little bit silly to say because it's only one Liberator for now. But what I think we see all too often versus Protoss is what we are seeing a little bit similarly versus Zerg for Terran, where you're so, I don't know, dedicated or desperate to get damage done. You start giving away too much through drops, too much through these harassments, and you end up having such a small army to fight the main fight that comes later. So I like that right now there's a lot of emphasis on tanks. There's a lot of emphasis on getting bio up back at home. Because if HeroMarine was throwing away drop after drop and Liberator after Liberator, he would be totally screwed to stop even something simple like this, a Warp Prism with a few adepts in it. But ShoWTimE also sees the amount of Marines waiting and says, nope, never mind. Just took the wrong turn, excuse me.
Yeah, just come back in later, maybe when the army moves out. But again, like I really do feel like it's getting to that point where when is that timing going to hit? He's going to have to wait until combat shields most likely, but is it going to be too late then? Is the third expansion going to have paid for itself, especially with like Immortals and everything being made? You have Dark Templars going to be coming out pretty soon. And there is a small little move out over here from HeroMarine, just seizing control of the Zelnaga Watchtower, shutting down some of the vision. But Warp Prism comes back in, trying to get some damage done with those Adepts, not quite able to make anything happen.
I like the defense out of HeroMarine so far. Pretty solid, pretty much on lockdown. The other attack to this right side, however, I guess the middle of the map, whatever you want to call it, looking to catch that Warp Prism. Not many Marines, mostly Marauders, however.
He caught a glimpse of it for a moment, but I don't think he was paying attention. It was like for a split second. Dark Templars are going to be warped in over here, though. Looks like one Dark Templar are going to be moved into the main base, while the other one tries to move into the natural expansion. Going after the bunker, giving, I guess, trying to just brust down the wall in so he can move in later on with the depth. But there we go, dropping the main base.
There are turrets down, though, so he should be covered for the most part. The big attack really is coming outside ShoWTimE's natural, however. Let's keep in mind, HeroMarine is up a significant amount of supply, and he's got +1 on his side. But this choke, those force fields, this could go poorly for him, despite all of these really good things. But, oh god, all those immortals just have their barriers triggered. There's only one immortal in this army that doesn't have barrier already on cooldown.
This could definitely get a little bit scary, and he has to be very careful about this. He's shading the adepts forward. Mostly, I imagine, to get scouting information. He's not going to complete that, right? Yeah, there we go. Oh, but
he gets up to the high ground, so he gets past that first problem with force fields. There's still going to be chokes. There's still going to be force fields. It's not going to be an easy fight, but this is so in the favor of HeroMarine.
There is...
Mothership goes down. Oh, no.
I don't think you should engage with this. I think you should wait for the Nexus to die and then go in, but... Here we go.
Sandwich now coming in on top of the army, but the Immortals are already dead before the Adepts even get to transfer. Tanks don't mind where they shoot. That's going to be it. HeroMarine with 90 supply and army, the 11 of ShoWTimE, will take down the Protoss, and HeroMarine will be the German champion of this series, advancing on to the next round. This started as an 0-2. I want to remind you guys, in ShoWTimE, his control was unquestionable. His aggression was unstoppable. This was amazing watching HeroMarine come back from that.
Now, we're just getting really good games this DreamHack. I mean, we had started off our first series with Hydra versus Wellmoon. That was a 3-2. The main stage match was Haas versus Mana. That was a 3-2. Now we're jumping into this, or we would finish up this series. This was a 3-2. I'm pretty sure the other series was also pretty close. Like,
I just want to throw something out here too, okay? I want to make it very clear. My stance is that I wish they never region locked and that Koreans were still playing. But this series is one of the examples of like why I'm okay with the region lock, why I can live with it. Because if this had been, say, HeroMarine versus Zest, this would have been a very boring 3-0 potentially. Instead, we got a really exciting 3-2 comeback of all things. So, I don't know, like, foreigners, I know, are not the most popular thing in the world right now, but I am totally stoked when you have really good foreigners fighting it out like that. That was a great series.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just goes to show, like, there are more interesting games than just foreigner versus Korean, which has just been such an overplayed thing at this point. So I'm always really happy, especially again to see like two of the Germans facing off against each other for that German pride. Who's the best player there? But
so I need to talk about this really quick because my time is a bit shy. My nurse has been here for an hour waiting on me.
Oh, okay.
I've got to go basically shower and get all that stuff covered. So I'm not sure if there'll be a lot of downtime between the next series or if they'll start it quickly like we used to, or like this last game was, excuse me. So if they are going to start it right away, just go without me and I'll message you when I'm back.
All right.
But for the stream's sake, I have to disappear for about 40 minutes, guys. So unfortunately, due to having my arms disabled, I've had to hire a nurse to assist me with things, and I have to go take care of that now. So thanks for joining us so far, guys. We got a lot more games where this came from. Again, the schedule is posted on the Twitch channel in the info section down below through the comments. It's on my Twitter. It's on the BaseTradeTV Twitter. If you're curious about what's going on, what's coming up next, we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 best of 5s ahead of us. So thank you for joining, for streaming, and hopefully I'll be back before the next series. But if I'm not, I'll see you soon.
All right, see you, Rifkin, and I guess we'll be hopping on a short 2-minute break while we figure out when the next game is going to be starting. So I'll see you guys in just a little bit.